What is your house worth in today's market? Now, if you call me as a realtor, I can do what's called a CMA, a comparative market analysis, which is a really rough ballpark based on the information that I have through comparable sales in the multiple listing service or through the tax records if I can start to glean some information that way. But when you talk to a realtor, most of us are going to give you a ballpark range. It could be here, it could be here, because markets are fluid and prices change depending on which buyer comes in your door, what their motivation is, and what's happening in the broader market. Now, that's completely different than the value that you get from a certified residential appraiser. A licensed appraiser goes through a ton of education and information so that when they land on a number, it's called a valuation. That carries a stamp and a seal, and it has a high level of authority in the marketplace. My number as a realtor is a ballpark. They're two different things altogether. Now, when I as a realtor come into your house, I'm looking at a lot of different factors when we try to get the price nailed down. And at every juncture, I'm going to tell my prospects and my clients, we're always guessing to an extent because we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. If you want to know why prices are moving around a lot right now, I don't have a perfect answer for you because I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I would have retired before or after the Great Recession, but here I am still working away. So when I look at the market right now, we don't have enough buyers that are willing to write offers. And when that happens, our sellers start to reduce their prices to find the place in the market where the buyers will say yes. And before you think, I don't want to give it away, that's crazy, you'll drop it too far, you should always know this. Markets are pretty efficient. If I priced your house today at $1, people would be fighting for it. We would have a bidding war and it would be crazy. You would watch the numbers go up. Kind of like what happens in an auction situation where we start with a low entry point and then you feed off of other people until somebody is the high bidder and the other people have pulled out. That is a true example of what the value is based on the marketplace. The same thing happens in the multiple listing service, which is not an auction. It is an open marketplace to an extent. But when we pick a price and nobody buys it, well, then the price drops until you find where the fish are in that pond. Think of it as putting a piece of bait on your hook, and if you hold it above the water, you'd have to have a flying fish. They might exist, but they're rare. So that's you if you think it only takes one buyer. But then you get the hook all the way down in the water with the fish on it. Suddenly you will find a school of fish, and even all the fish in the school don't want what's on your hook, but a couple of them might, and now you have found your market. That's what we're doing when we reduce the price on a house. Now, as a home buyer, in your head, you're always thinking, man, something must be wrong with it or somebody else would have bought it. The reality is, if other buyers didn't see it either because it was here and you and all your buyer friends are down here, it didn't get purchased not because it's a bad house, but because the price was out of line. So when you're considering buying a house, you want to think about this in terms of, well, a different analogy. Let's look at the stock market. You've been told as an investor in stocks the whole time, you buy low and sell high, right? That's what you know you're supposed to do logically. The same thing works in houses. When you see opportunities that feel low, that's when you buy, so that when the markets go back up, you can sell high. But your logical brain gets overrun by the emotional you, because your emotions will tell you, I don't know. I don't want to buy when things are low because nobody else wants it. So I don't want it either. So you hold back and you wait until everybody else is buying. Well, that puts you back into a competitive situation like we saw during the COVID markets. There were a whole bunch of buyers during the COVID years who wished they'd bought in 2018 and 2019 before everything turned into a whole stack of multiple offers, high due diligence fees, sellers who wouldn't consider FHA and VA loans, and an environment that really didn't benefit a lot of people. But right now, the market that we're in, at least in the Concord and Greater Charlotte market, is a little bit unstable. And when I say unstable, there are sellers out there who aren't willing to come way off the hip to sell their house. They actually don't have to sell. And if they don't like the numbers, they won't sell. There's also sellers who have to sell, whether it's relocation, it's death, it's a divorce, it's a deposit on the next house. There are reasons people have to sell, and they are willing often to negotiate. So if you're thinking of buying a house when nobody else is writing the offers, that's probably your best opportunity to take a risk, because when you're buying a residence, especially a primary residence, you're not buying something you're going to flip out tomorrow. This is not day trading. So now we're out of our stock market environment, and I want you to think long term. The house where you live, is supposed to be a 10-year, a 15-year, a 20-year investment. Now, I'd love for your numbers to go up over a 3-year window, but I want you to think about that purchasing in longer terms. That means buying today when the seller may be willing to negotiate is probably going to be in your favor a couple of years from now when market environments shift again. So if you get confused about when to buy, whether to buy, what it boils down to is this. Does the monthly payment work for you if you're buying? If it does, quit thinking about what everybody else is doing. If you're selling, quit thinking about what you paid for it or what your neighbors got and look at your net proceeds. And if you can live with it, go ahead and sell because it's your ultimate decision. My job as your realtor and any other realtor that's out there is to help you weigh the pros and cons and make your best choice. And if you really feel wonky about the numbers, you call a certified residential appraiser to get a number that's got more weight than any number I can give you as a realtor. For more information about buying or selling, shoot me a DM, ask something in the comments. I'll respond with a video. And by the way, if you happen to watch my stuff and you're not in the greater Charlotte area, I got friends. Just let me know and I'll connect you. See you next time.